Chelsie, why don't we start that one again? I'm sorry, guys, we're going through this in real time. Looks like we had some audio issues, but as you were saying,
we'll start
Chelsie,
over. Chelsie Brown here alongside Jack Lido. We are here to pop on because there's a lot of things happening out of Ames. Just kind of want to get to it.
I feel like
talk.
You guys could tell by our monitor there. Yeah,
Yes. Obviously, everyone who's kind of kept a close eye on this know that there's been rumblings. We first reported it last night in our 10 o'clock news that Matt Campbell could be headed to Penn State. He was kind of one of the front runners for the position, and then earlier today things transpired, moved a little bit quickly, and they had kind of moved forward with a deal. So we're here to kind of discuss what we know, obviously what Campbell has meant to the Iowa State football program, and kind of just go from there. That's what this streaming studio is for, just to have these casual conversations and chat a little bit about what's going on. So let's start with what we do know, which is actually a lot, because a lot of things have happened within even the last half hour. We got word of reports of a player-coaches meeting. We do know, obviously, Matt Campbell is on campus in Ames right now, scheduled to have that meeting. It's going to go one of two ways right now. It looks like, though, it is leaning as Campbell is out. He is leaving Ames. He is headed to Penn State to become their new football head coach. What else do we know, Jack?
Well, as of about a few hours ago, the players had not spoken to Campbell whatsoever. So this meeting we're about to hear from, the players are about to hear from Campbell, that is, for the first time over in the last few days. Obviously, the rumors, they started as rumors, then they had reports, and now it is almost an official report. The deal is done. Matt Campbell is heading to Penn State. How this all went down, reports from The Athletic say that Penn State Athletic Director Pat Kraft flew to Ames earlier this week, and on Thursday
evening.
They met. It looked like they were in discussions, maybe let's hammer out a contract, and it appears in 24 hours that contract has been hammered out. So this all kind of took place pretty quickly over the course of only about 2 days.
Yes, absolutely. And it sounds like it's going to be a multi-year deal, looking 8 years. I mean, Campbell was on contract with Iowa State with the Cyclones to 2032. He had just gotten that contract just last year after their historic season. Obviously, he's had success. He is the winningest coach in the program history over in Ames. He's the Big 12 Coach of the Year 3 times now. He's obviously led the Cyclones to 2 Big 12 championship game appearances over his 10 years there in Ames. So he knows how to win. That is why he has been truly in the past 2 sought out for other positions during his time in Ames. He's always kind of said, though, that it have to be the right one, maybe timing, things like that, because he's truly kind of become part of the team out there in Ames. So this has to be the right deal. I know that this is not an easy decision for him either to leave this program because of what he's done, but I think when you look back on what he has done, it's been pretty incredible, which I know is why Cyclone fans right now are saying no. So
yeah, as of a few hours ago, a lot of fans were hoping, is this real? Can Matt Campbell actually be, all these rumors and details, the fact that it's being pushed down the road, does that mean maybe the deal hasn't been hammered out? Obviously, it's sad news. Fans were holding out hope. Fans are sad because Campbell, he's the best coach in Iowa State history. He's obviously the winningest coach in Iowa State history. He has 50 Big 12 wins in his career, 10 years at Iowa State, 50. The next best active Big 12 coach has 24 wins. He's more than double that.
Yeah.
Matt Campbell, what he's done for Iowa State, it's almost innumerable. I mean, we have numbers, of course, 9-win seasons twice and an 11-win season. Those are the 3 highest or most winningest, I should say, seasons in Iowa State history.
Yes.
Obviously, he's had opportunities. We've heard he was a finalist. He was reported a finalist at the USC job. He was offered NFL deals. He never left until now. This is the right one for Campbell.
It is. And when you look at what is going on at Penn State, obviously they fired James Franklin nearly 2 months ago. So if you're Penn State, This coaching search has kind of been drawn out a little bit. It's been well over 50 days. I think Penn State fans were probably kind of looking at this too, like, when is our guy coming?
Yeah.
Because there's been so much movement, just the coaching carousel right now, just over college athletics and everything. And so I think Penn State fans are going to be happy with this selection. When I think about not only what Campbell has done with the program at Ames, he's a great human being. And I think too, on Monday on Iowa Live with Scott Docterman and I were actually talking about the Lane Kiffin situation, which was a little bit different situation in regards to Iowa State fans, and Iowa fans need to look at, you know, who is at the helm of their program and really appreciate those people because they've created something very special. They've stuck it out through the bumps and everything like that. So I know this is not what people in Ames want to hear right now, but I do think that Matt Campbell will do some great things at Penn State.
Yeah, James Franklin was fired nearly 2 months ago, and he really, since that day, Penn State has quietly been looking for coaching candidates. Kurt Cignetti at Indiana, he re-signed a new contract. They were looking at Kalani Sitake, the head coach at BYU, who's been there for over a decade, at BYU for over a decade. He just signed a contract extension. So, ironically, Campbell is not Penn State's first choice, or was not Penn State's first choice. But I think if you talk to a lot of Iowa State fans, if they're removing their biases, or if they're removing their emotional bias, they would say Campbell should be Penn State's first choice because of what he's done at Iowa State. Okay. What Matt Campbell has done at Iowa State is I feel just as impressive as what some of the group of 5 coaches who have recently been hired at places like Auburn and Florida. What Matt Campbell has done, Iowa State was one of, if not the worst, Power 4 programs, Power 5 programs back then for the whole century, 1900 till 2000. Dan McCarney took it to a new level. Matt Campbell took it to that next level, competing for Big 12 championships, competing with Texas and Oklahoma, 5 wins against those 2 schools combined. And as the numbers I mentioned before, in terms of longevity and wins, nobody in the Big 12 was better than Matt Campbell. So you do understand it, though, from the perspective of Penn State's a great job. It's not just about money. Matt Campbell will be handsomely compensated, but Penn State competes in the Big Ten, and that's kind of a whole new level. It's a whole new ballgame.
Well, let's talk about it a little bit because, just like you said, the Big Ten Conference has a lot of money, starting with their TV deals. It's huge. I think that is probably one reason that Campbell's probably looking at, you know, this position in this conference. And Hawkeye fans aren't going to be done with him just yet. I know that Penn State's going to be on their schedule here soon. But that's the thing, truly, with this new era of college athletics, is that there is so much money at certain programs in certain conferences, and you have to look at that from a perspective of a leader and also having resources.
Yeah.
And I think one of the big things that stood out to me was when Coach Campbell actually took a pay cut to make sure that he could retain some of his Iowa State staff because of the culture. He is a huge culture guy, and I think that is why Iowa State has had their success. Will he bring that to Penn State? 100%. However, when you look at that and you look at why he did it and retaining, you know, his people, I think that kind of opens your eyes a little bit to see that Penn State is not a program that necessarily would have to cut, you know, as far as corners in regards to salaries, things like that. There's resources. Obviously, NIL is huge. Is he going to have his hands full? Obviously, because of the signing day that just happened on Wednesday and the transition right now for a lot of Penn State guys that are trying to figure out if they're staying, if they're going. Will some of the Iowa State players come with him? Maybe, potentially. Will some of his staff come with him? Maybe, potentially. Like, those are all things. But in this new era, you cannot ignore the resources and that comes with having or playing in a different conference like the Big Ten. Unfortunately, the Big 12 just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah, let's just say Matt Campbell will not have to take a pay cut to win at Penn State. Penn State has more resources, a bigger donor base, a bigger alumni base than Iowa State. You could say that about most Big Ten schools versus most Big 12 schools. I mean, think about last offseason when Matt Campbell was saying his guys, his players, took pay cuts to stay at Iowa State. He was telling reporters that. What that means is not necessarily Iowa State paid them less. It was that his players, like Rocco Becht is one example of, I'm not reporting this, but Rocco Becht was an example of a guy a a Big Ten school would clearly want. Becht is a guy who probably took less money to stay at Iowa State, and I'm sure plenty of guys. So who knows? Are Iowa State guys going to move from Iowa State to Penn State because they appreciate the loyalty that they want to be loyal to Matt Campbell. They appreciate the culture that Matt Campbell has brought. Either way, Matt Campbell's bringing that same culture to Penn State, and I think Penn State fans are going to love him for it.
I think so too, and I think this is a difficult meeting that he's about to have with his players and coaching staff. I do, however, appreciate that he's getting on top of it. I know that when you look at it from like a national perspective, obviously if you're Penn State, you want to say, hey, we got our guy. You know, we finally got our guy, sort of deal. But, you know, I think Iowa State, kind of their camp has been very quiet, just kind of letting it play out. From what we've heard from people close to the program and everything is that, you know, they hadn't heard anything. And I think Campbell wanted, you know, it to stay that way. And I do respect that in the sense of like he wants to be the person to say what is going to happen, why, you know, he's making this decision and everything. I think that's very respectable of him. I still think he's going to do great things. But why don't we talk about why? I mean, we mentioned a little bit of the NIL. Why else is Penn State maybe appealing to someone like a Matt Campbell?
I mean, NIL kind of leads to this answer.
Yeah.
But what's the object of the game? It's to win football games, and Penn State is a program that is known for winning football games. And the reason they fired James Franklin wasn't because they weren't winning games, it was they weren't winning big games. Penn State competes in big games, huge games, games that Matt Campbell has occasionally gotten Iowa State to. We talked about the Big 12 championship game last season. That was the biggest game in Iowa State football history.
Yeah.
Penn State competed in the Big 10 championship and the college football playoff semifinal last year. You see what I'm saying? They compete in huge games every year. And the Big 10, just by nature of being a power conference, not only does it have that big TV deal, a lot of NIL money, because they're a power conference, the College Football Playoff Committee generally likes them a little bit more. So 3 Big 10 teams are likely getting into the College Football Playoff this year. The last 2 national champions, despite what Paul Feinbaum wants you to think, have been from the Big 10. The Big 10.
I was like, where are we going with that?
The Big 10 is arguably the best conference in the sport. It's by any measure at least the second best conference in the sport. So yes, if you're Campbell at Iowa State, you can build up this great culture, maybe win a Big 12 championship and get to the college football playoff that way. But at Penn State, you don't necessarily have to win a Big 10 championship. You just need to have maybe 1, maybe even 2 losses every year, and you have the college football playoff committee's benefit of the doubt there.
Yeah, so just to reiterate too, for anyone who's popping on, Matt Campbell will be leaving Iowa State. He will be the next coach at Penn State after the Nittany Lions fired James Franklin about nearly 2 months ago. Think it's a home run hire, though, for Penn State. I know Cyclone fans obviously devastated to see their guy leave, but there's a lot of reasons. I think when you look back, though, on his career, 10 years and what he's done with the program, it's a lot to be proud of. I do think, though, too, that Iowa State's going to be in good hands.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't know who's going to replace a Matt Campbell, but some names internally that just pop out to me. I mean, Mauser
Yeah, Taylor
Fieldhouse,
Mauser,
yeah.
The current OC,
Yep.
offensive coordinator at Iowa State. He's, I'm sure, a very popular name among the fan base.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Fieldhouse.
Yes,
Nate
yeah.
Fieldhouse was the offensive coordinator for Iowa State. He left to be the passing game coordinator in Los Angeles for the NFL's Rams. Wouldn't he be such a great hire coming back to Iowa State, building on the culture that Matt Campbell has already built? They don't want to. If I'm Jamie Pollard, I don't want to tear things down. I want to build on that culture.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying don't hire the best candidate. Hire the best candidate you can, but it certainly helps if you have that Matt Campbell DNA. It helps retaining players because that's a huge thing, and it helps with the culture for the next 1, 5, 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely. I think internally too, those are guys who know everything that Matt Campbell has built. They appreciate it. They've been a part of it, and those are the guys that can kind of carry on this legacy. Anything else we want to mention about this before we kind of wrap it up? I know it's still very much in motion, but things are moving quickly. Could have a decision maybe as soon as this evening that kind of finalizes it, and maybe we'll hear from Iowa State soon.
Yeah, we may hear from Jamie Pollard himself. He's not opposed. He's not opposed to tweeting on his phone. I don't think we're going to get a head coach, the next head coach, in the next 24 hours. But
for Iowa State.
For Iowa State.
Got it.
Which obviously Iowa State fans might be looking towards that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it'll come tonight. I don't think it'll come tomorrow. But they announce the bowl games on Sunday.
Yes,
so I think that's a good
point.
barometer. Maybe on Sunday or Monday. And who knows? We've seen head coaching press conferences. We could have one as early next week, maybe even Monday or Tuesday, especially if it's an in-house guy like Taylor Mauser. Right. It's not like he has to move his family or anything. Any other candidates? We mentioned Fieldhouse and Mauser. The guy we didn't mention is Tyson Veit. He's the defensive coordinator at Cincinnati, who was the linebackers coach for a long time under Matt Campbell. Those are the three kind of quote-unquote in-house guys. If you're just throwing stuff on the wall, Anthony Becht, the St. Louis Battlehawks coach, who is Rocco Becht's father.
I was like, you got to say whose dad it is.
He has to be at least considered. And then other guys with Iowa connections, I wrote down Mark Stoops, who was just fired at Kentucky. Played for the Hawkeyes. And then you also have Tim Polasek, head coach at North Dakota State, completely just throwing it out there. I'm not sure he'd leave North Dakota State for Iowa State, but he knows the state of Iowa well enough. If I'm Jamie Pollard, I'm at least giving him a call.
Yeah, absolutely. There are some reports too right now coming out from this is Matt. Do you know?
Matt Fortuna?
Matt Fortuna.
From The Athletic?
From the...
I'm sorry.
Nope. Matt Fortuna is reporting right now that the NIL money that we were chatting about of why, Campbell may go to somewhere like a Penn State, he's reporting that they are committing roughly $30 million in NIL money and $17 million in staff pool. So that goes to the assistant coaches and sports support staff, things like that. When you hear numbers like that, those are big numbers.
Yeah.
And going back to Matt Campbell too, his contract with Iowa State, it was $5 million, obviously went through 2032. Looking back, James Franklin, he was making roughly $8 million, a little bit over that when he was at Penn State. So these are big numbers, but there's bigger numbers at Penn State right now than there is, unfortunately, at Iowa State when it comes to that. So that is obviously something that is a factor in all of this, and it is reportedly going to be an 8-year deal to make him the next coach.
I am seeing that Penn State football reporter John Sauber, I'm sorry if I'm getting that wrong, is reporting that the contract is worth $10 million per year. Do the math, that's $80 million over the course of 8 years.
Right.
I'm not sure that includes the $17 million you talked about before. I'm sure it does. So do you think it does? I don't know.
The NIL money?
No. The $17 million for staff for
No,
staff.
that's assistant coaches.
Okay, so that's separate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what we're saying is that's a lot of money.
Yes.
And $30 million, I mean, just to put it in perspective, a lot of these NIL dollars, they're new to us too. It's recent. Ohio State paid a reported, I believe, $20 million for their roster last season when they won the national championship. And now $20 million for a lot of schools seems small. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and it's something Matt Campbell, I'd imagine it's hard for him to say no to.
Right. Don't want to get too in the weeds either with numbers being reported as well, but it is just to kind of show you and give you a glimpse at the resources that Penn State is going to have for Campbell.
Yeah.
I do feel bad, and I do I am sad that he will obviously be leaving Iowa State, and we won't get to see him on a weekly basis in the fall and things like that. But Penn State's getting a good one. I think it'll be fun when the Hawkeyes face Penn State in the future.
We do know Kirk Ferentz has a ton of respect for Matt
absolutely.
Campbell. It's not like a butting heads rivalry there.
No, I think Kirk Ferentz will welcome him to the Big Ten, with open arms, and I think that will probably. I mean, Iowa and Penn State already have a little, history and everything with that game, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see a new face. Anything else before we go?
That's all I got. Iowa State fans, I am sorry, and we'll be with you as Iowa State is hoping to hire a new head coach.
And obviously, these reports were starting just last night, and things have moved quickly.
Yeah, so perhaps Jamie Pollard, he's probably been looking for a head coach to replace Matt Campbell over the last 24 hours, I'm sure.
Yes, then that's just kind of how these things move too. They move quick, so we are going to go touch base with our sources and kind of figure out where we go from here and what we know. But we did want to hop on and just kind of give you guys the latest as a lot of things were developing. It kind of happened at just a really busy time.
Yeah.
So thanks for doing this with me.
Thanks for watching, guys.